Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bob Meter, and I am the Training Bureau Commander. On behalf of Columbus Police Chief Kim Jacobs and members of the Division of Police, I welcome you to the graduation of the 130th Columbus Police Recruit Class. On Monday, June 18th, 2018, I directed Lieutenant Tim Sansbury to take charge of the 130th Recruit Class. Lieutenant Sansbury, report.
Sir, 66 recruits came together to form the 130th recruit class. Today, 57 remain and stay ready for graduation. All 57 over the course of 29 weeks have completed 1,160 hours of academy training. They now stand ready for graduation. All 29 have completed and satisfied the requirements of the state of Ohio and their respective municipalities. The City of Columbus, Police and Fire, the City of Dublin, Grove City, the City of Hilliard, the City of Newark, the City of Albany, the City of Westerville, and the City of Worthington. Sir.
Well done, Lieutenant. Officer Page, take charge of the 130th Recruit Class.
Class, attention! For march, you left, right. 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 Count, take the hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors by the Columbus Police Honor Guard and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the invocation by Columbus Police Chaplain, Father Leo Conley. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Class, seats!
Let us pray. We read in the sacred scriptures from the letter to the Corinthians, in the end, there are three things that last: faith, hope, and love. These are days of hope. We have just begun a new calendar year, and we engage in reflections on the past and hope for the future. As we gather today, we gather for the day for which these new police officers have hoped for quite some time. and to which they have indeed worked hard to bring this day about. As we prepare for this ceremony, we also pray and hope that the messages shared and indeed the sentiments of this day will inspire them and all of us whom you have called to be your faithful servants. We also indeed are mindful of all of those who have made this day possible and who have joined with them in hope to be able to be witnesses to this day. And indeed, as we honor them and celebrate with them, we also indeed are mindful that this is a day in which we can be rightfully proud of their accomplishments. We ask all these things in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Father.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will now introduce the distinguished guests on stage to celebrate today's graduation. I ask that you please hold your applause until I introduce everyone. Mayor of Columbus, Andrew J. Gunther. Director of Public Safety, Ned Pettis, Jr. Chief of Columbus Police Chief, Kim Jacobs. Columbus Police Deputy Chief, Michael Woods. You've already met Columbus Police Chaplain, Father Leo Conley. Columbus Fire Chief, Kevin O'Connor. Dublin Police Chief, Heinz von Ecketsburg. Grove City Police Chief, Rick Butzko. Hilliard Police Chief, Robert Fisher. New Albany Police Chief, Greg Jones. Newark Police Chief, Barry Connell. Westerville Police Chief, Joe Morbitzer. And Worthington Police Chief, Jerry Strait. Welcome. Thank you for coming. The basic training staff members who are responsible for training and guidance of these new officers over the last 29 weeks are Lieutenant Tim Sansbury, Sergeant Ted Reardon, Officer County Lauthan, Officer Tracy Shaw, Officer Tom Page, Officer Jack Rennie, Officer Remus Borchilla, Officer Scott Davidson, Officer Martin Kessner, Officer Doug Fullwider, Officer Kevin Yankovich. I would like to thank this staff for their continued significant contributions to the recruit class and to the Training Bureau. It is through this staff's dedication that allows me to say I am very proud of this entire class for their accomplishments in meeting the challenges of becoming professional police officers. Thank you. Each recruit class elects class officers. The class officers for the 130th recruit class are President Jacob Smith, Vice President Officer Kyle Matthey, Treasurer Officer Phil Wilson, Secretary Officer Andrew Murray, and Orator Officer Greg Peters. At this time, Officer Smith will cite the Code of Ethics.
Good morning. As a law enforcement officer, my fundamental duty is to serve the community, to safeguard lives and property, to protect the innocent against deception, the weak against oppression or intimidation, and the peaceful against violence or disorder, and to respect the constitutional rights of all to liberty, equality, and justice. I will keep my private life unsullied as an example to all and will behave in a manner which does not bring discredit to me or my agency. I will maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, or ridicule, and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. Honest in thought and deed in both my personal and official life, I will be exemplary in obeying the law and regulations of my department. I will never permit personal feelings, prejudices, political beliefs, aspirations, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions. With no compromise for crime, I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately, without fear or favor, malice or ill will, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities. I recognize the badge of my office as a symbol of public faith, and I accept it as a public trust to be held, so long as I am true to the ethics of police service. I will never engage in acts of bribery, nor will I condone such acts by other police officers. I will cooperate with all legally authorized agencies and their representatives in the pursuit of justice. I know that I alone am responsible for my standard of professional performance and will take every opportunity to enhance and improve my level of knowledge and competence. I will constantly strive to achieve these objectives and ideals, dedicating myself before God to my chosen profession, law enforcement.
Thank you, Officer Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Mayor of the City of Columbus, Andrew J. Gunther.
Good morning. Thank you, Commander, and what a great day in the city of Columbus. It is a special day for us to recognize the incredible accomplishments and sacrifices made by these outstanding new officers, but also their families. Thrilled to be here for the graduation of the 130th Columbus Police Recruit Class. I'm happy to report that this class again represents both the diversity and talent we are striving for in our recruits. You also have the honor of being the last police recruit class to graduate under the incredible leadership of our Chief of Police, Kim Jacobs. I'd like to take a moment to recognize her for her lifetime commitment to public service and to the residents of Columbus. Will you join me in recognizing Chief Jacobs? Policing has always been a difficult profession, but you, this incredible class, are entering it at a time in history, both nationally and locally, when the challenges may be greater than at any other. We're in the midst of an opioid epidemic crisis that is ravaging so many families in our community. Police officers are called on not to just solve crimes of the drug trade, but often to revive those who have overdosed. The number of homicides and violent crimes as a whole in Columbus are down in 2018, but I know that everyone in this room agrees we must continue to do all that we can to make our neighborhoods safe. You will be on the front lines now, and I'm looking to you to continue this progress. This great city devotes 2/3 of our operating budget to enhance the safety of all of our residents in all of our neighborhoods. We invest in equipment, facilities, but most importantly, our people. Just in 2017, we rolled out the comprehensive neighborhood safety strategy. The strategy includes funding for the police to implement neighborhood safety measures, expanded Safe Streets Bike Patrol, collaborative deterrence effort with the Franklin County Courts called Safe Neighborhoods. We know that reducing crime in our great city cannot be accomplished solely by the work of our police officers. Neighborhood and community safety is everyone's responsibility. Everyone has a role to play. The strategy also calls for a number of initiatives to support our officers, to allow all of you to focus on law enforcement and let other community entities lift up neighborhoods with preventative measures and crisis response. So despite all the challenges and demands of this profession, you answered the call. You are still here, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you. Today, you are graduating from a police academy that is recognized as a leader in training, and you're joining a nationally accredited police agency. When you leave here today, you will be paired with experienced officers to undergo additional field training. As you gain experience, earn new assignments, and are promoted throughout the ranks, you will continue to learn new strategies and tactics and employ new technologies like body-worn cameras to keep pace with an ever-changing and dangerous world and new and unprecedented challenges law enforcement must confront. As you embark on this new chapter of your lives, please know that we will continue to support you and help keep you safe. I often call on our community faith leaders to pray for peace, prosperity in our neighborhood. It's throughout our great city. I want you to know that I pray for you each and every day. But I also pray for your families, because we know that it is not just officers who serve, but families. Please accept the thanks of a grateful city and a grateful region. I know we have the city manager from Worthington here today, as well as Council's President Pro Tem and our Auditor-elect, Michael Stinziano. This entire region is counting on you. And remember this, probably what is most important. Throughout your career, you will report to many different individuals of different ranks, but you will always answer to and serve the people of Columbus. They made this opportunity available to you and to make our city great in the future to come. Congratulations. Nice one.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Director of Public Safety for his remarks and the oath of office, Ned Pettis, Jr.
Thank you, Commander, and good morning. I want to thank Mayor Gunther, Council President Pro Tem Stinziano, and all Columbus City Council members, and Chief Jacobs for the invitation to speak to our newest officers in Central Ohio. I also want to thank the mayors, safety directors, and chiefs from the 8 departments represented here today for their trust that they've demonstrated in the Columbus Police Training Academy to train their new officers. Your new officers have been taught the most up-to-date law enforcement information and techniques in one of the best academy environments in the country, and they've received twice the level of training mandated by the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy. They have forged friendships and professional contacts that can be utilized during their entire career. And I have no doubt, sitting in this group behind me, includes our future leadership in not only the Columbus Division of Police, but in our neighboring departments as well. And the City of Columbus will humbly take credit for laying the foundation for their successful careers. And thank you again for entrusting your new officers to us and for giving your new employees the best chance to succeed. And as the mayor noted, this is Chief Jacobs' last graduation ceremony since she's retiring next month. She was once the commander of this training academy, and much of the success of the curriculum and facility is due to her oversight. Congratulations again, and thank you so much, Chief Jacobs. When the 57 of you started the academy last July, You each showed up that first day with your own story. Some of you are not from this area. Some of you have police experience elsewhere. Some of you have military experience. Some of you have college degrees. Some of you are parents. And some of you are as surprised as anyone that you chose this career. But each of you arrived with your life resembling a rich tapestry. That tapestry, though, was only partially complete. Those pieces that make up your life story up to now determine how you will approach your job in particular and your life in general. They will determine your display of empathy, sympathy, integrity, and compassion. They also determine your moral compass. You see, those things cannot be taught. They must be innate within you, and we have provided the training to utilize them. How you use them is up to you. You will be dealing with people on what may be the worst day of their life, and they will be counting on you to do the right thing. Tap into those influences that have been positive in your life and use those to the best of your ability when dealing with people and situations. How you finish that tapestry is now up to you. I understand there were some moments that, at the time, didn't seem so light, but now we can look back on them with a little humor. Like the two recruits during scenario training made a traffic stop with guns drawn on a driver in a car in the academy parking lot that perfectly matched the description given to them. Little did they know a local resident was paying a visit to the academy at that same time in the same type of car described in the training scenario. Note the confusion on the poor, unsuspecting visitor's face. Thank you, Commander Meter, for smoothing over that situation with the visitor. I also was told that there's a graduate who is so into fried chicken that he can tell you the best fried chicken restaurants in all 50 states. Unfortunately, that research was conducted during class, with the inspector from the Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy performing an audit and inspection sitting in the back of the room. The entire class received motivation to ensure such an incident never occurred again. But seriously, because first responders are leaders in our community, I will close with a quote by Jim Rohn, who once said, "The challenge of leadership is to be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, but without folly." So I challenge you today that no failure of spirit, no lapse in focus, and no shortage of valor be found among you. As a law enforcement officer, always have the mindset to do the right thing for the right reason and at the right time. Never forget who you are, and what you do. And if you accept this charge, then please stand for the oath of office, raising your right hand. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
Jacob Boston Smith.
Kyle A. Downey.
Philip James Wilson.
Andrew Joseph Murray. Gregory Robert Peters.
James J. Eggins.
Miguel A. Alvarado Colon.
Emily Jane Barney.
Keegan Bretlinger.
Kyle Allen Roth.
Brandon Scott Caldwell.
Jackson Forrest Gates.
Samuel Conley.
Travis Michael Copeland. Nicholas Paul Duty.
Sean Scott Evans.
Lauren Nicole Foster.
Nicholas Gino.
Svetlana Gujinkova.
Mitchell Hamilton. Peter Christopher Hartman.
Michael Keegan.
Louis Kearns.
Tamara Codrick.
Troy E. Lazis.
Troy D. Matheny.
Andrew Michael McBain. Brett William McCarthy.
Christopher Meeks.
Lucas Allen Bass.
Kofi Owusu Ansah.
Elizabeth Marie Phillips. Caitlin Carter Wang.
Grant Harrington Pritchard.
Adam Reedley. Stephen Shessler. Matthew South. Derek Steffen. Paul Michael Stewart. Arthur Ross Whitworth.
Timothy Elijah Williams.
Andrew Joseph Willish. Alton C. Woods. Harvey D. Davis. David Aronovic. Ian Connor Kovacs. Jared Michael Nelson. Timothy Kurtz.
Jamie Allen Steele.
Taylor Wesley Graves.
Matthew Edward Hayes. Casey Allen McManaway. Jacob William Steinbrook. Matthew Aaron Adams. Russell James Jackson.
Joshua Rashad Cersei.
Isaac Christopher Allenberger.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio and the laws and ordinances of the City of Columbus,
City of Dublin. Grove City. City of Hilliard. City of New Albany. City of Newark.
City of Westerville. City of Worthington.
and the rules and regulations of the Department of Public Safety, Division of Police, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Police Officer, Division of Police, Department of Public Safety, City of Columbus, Columbus, Ohio,
City of Dublin, Dublin, Ohio. Grove City, Ohio. City of Hilliard, Hilliard, Ohio. City of New Albany, New Albany, Ohio. City of Newark, Newark, Ohio.
City of Westerville, Westerville, Ohio. City of Worthington, Worthington, Ohio.
to which I have been appointed according to law and to the best of my ability. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate our new police officers.
Class, seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Columbus Police Chief Kim Jacobs.
It is a good morning, right? All right. Thank you, Mayor Gunther, Director Pettis, for your words and your support, especially to hire more officers in 2018 to serve our fast-growing city. According to our latest staffing figures, we've expanded our sworn ranks more in 2018 than the previous 5 years combined. So these will be a great benefit for our city. This means that we can assign more officers to fight crime, solve problems, and save lives. As you've heard, this is my last graduation ceremony as chief. As I look at the faces, even though they're a little bit tight right now, as I look at the faces of these new officers, it's actually very easy for me to recall 39 years ago when I was sitting in their seat, having graduated from the academy. The excitement, the feeling of accomplishment, and the happiness that I felt to move on to the next phase, it's no different than what they're feeling right now, today. But wow, have so many things changed in that time. As the mayor said, being accredited 20 years ago, when we first achieved accreditation, many of us knew that there would be some positive changes, but we didn't realize how significantly it would affect us. By their standards, we're required to have a policy in place for more than 450 of the multitude of services that we provide. We're also required to regularly review those policies. All of this has helped to make us a leading law enforcement agency in this country. We are in a constant state of continuous improvement, and these new officers will now join that process. In 2018 alone, We formally revised, amended, or created 76 new policies, directives, rules, or procedures. Additionally, we've implemented numerous new strategies and set and achieved new goals. That includes working with the Adam H. Board and the fire department on our REACT teams to follow up on overdose situations and help opiate addicts get treatment that they need. We've also partnered with NetCare to create the mobile crisis response teams, where our officers actually ride with mental health counselors and they respond to calls for service, making those counselors also first responders to help people having a mental health crisis. We've revamped and added 2 more officers to our recruiting unit. They are working closely with the Explorers program, a great program for youth that are interested in law enforcement careers. We've added the ability to text callers after a run is over to give them the details about what transpired, since they're very curious if they don't know when face-to-face contact isn't available. We've also expanded the digital forensics unit and updated our technology equipment that's essential to now being able to get into those digital devices that hold so much evidence and will help us solve crime. We've added another category to our early warning system to look for patterns in officer behavior that may need to be scrutinized and/or remedied. We've shortened the completion time of citizen complaint investigations, and by using body camera video, we've eliminated the need to call officers in off the street for interviews because the video speaks for itself. We've also changed the pursuit investigative process to give office supervisors actually more time to lead our officers on the street. These are just recent examples of the change that Mayor Gunther expects from us. We are far from maintaining the status quo, and these new officers, as well as our veterans, often don't even recognize all of the change that is occurring as they go about their daily duties. I will say, though, they all noticed when we installed cameras on their uniforms. But I'm very proud of how quickly they adapted to that change. Now our officers are routinely using them to collect hard evidence, to get confessions, and to protect their own integrity. Thank you, Mayor, for that new equipment. This brings up the issue of how we all accept change. There are changes that we welcome, such as the gift a first baby brings to the lives of parents. Significant change, but welcome nonetheless. These officers will most probably welcome the change they will experience next week as they put their training into practice. Am I right, officers? Yes, ma'am. Are you ready to leave Sergeant Reardon behind? Yes, ma'am. They will have new trainers and new challenges, but making it real is something that they all look forward to. Then there's the changes that sometimes we resist. In fact, I've heard that there are some people that even resist or are afraid of retirement. Thankfully, that's not me. But I understand why some people resist change. It's the uncertainty that bothers people the most, not the actual change. It's not knowing how that change will affect you. The fear of being asked to do something that you don't know how to do. It's a leader's responsibility to help address these concerns, give those that have uncertainties the confidence that they need to accept and adapt to the change. And these new officers have been given that confidence, but not overconfidence, that makes them the type of officers that our communities all need. They have been in our communities, and they have been taught that good communication skills and relationships are vital to that success. These new officers, even though there may be some questions in exactly how they'll respond to these new duties outside of these academy walls, are self-assured that they are ready for this change. They don't resist it, they embrace it. The staff has prepared them, and they have evolved from the civilians that walked in these doors 7 months ago to newly sworn law enforcement officers for their communities. I congratulate all of you for the accomplishment that you've achieved so far and look forward to seeing what you will do in the future. These officers will transform policing and see it transform during their careers, just as it has changed during mine. They themselves will change as they mature and gain experience in dealing with our community's needs. But these officers will also alter the course of other people's lives as well. They will save lives. They will help others get to safety. They will assist people who are in crisis, and they will bring calm to chaotic situations. They are going to hold themselves to high standards and face dangers that most people would never willingly accept. As I look back on my career, I've seen times change, policing change, and people change. But one thing remains the same. The Columbus Division of Police will continue to grow, adapt, and thrive in an ever-changing world filled with uncertainties and unknown dangers. Why? Because I know this division is more than just a call for service being answered by a very sharply dressed officer in a new SUV. I know it's more than a few numbers on the budget sheet and a list of buildings and assets. I know that it's more than being chief, and it's more than our newest officers. The Division of Police is a team that I love and care very deeply about. It's a diverse team with many talents, fine men and women who have a passion to serve and a dedication to protect. They are a group of people who are unafraid of change and have the character to strive for excellence, even in the face of adversity. Mayor, as you look for and choose the next leader of this outstanding organization, I would ask you to make sure that it is someone who they deserve. Because for all they do in our community and for all we ask of them, they deserve the very best. Thank you and congratulations to the new officers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear from the class orator, Officer Peters.
Thank you, sir.
On behalf of Class 130 of the Columbus Police Academy, I would like to extend our gratitude to you, our family and friends, who have come here today to celebrate with us on this significant occasion. While the focus today will be on us and our collective accomplishments, please know that you too have gone through this journey with us. You too were anxious or concerned at times these last several months, and you too had to endure as your loved ones persevered and succeeded in this academy. So to our dear family and friends, thank you for your support, and thank you for being here today as we celebrate this collective accomplishment. I want to welcome our distinguished guests as well from the City of Columbus, Mayor Andrew Gunther, Safety Director Ned Pettis, and Police Chief Kim Jacobs. We also want to welcome the representatives of the other Central Ohio municipalities present today. We have enjoyed being together as a class of multiple jurisdictions, and we now have colleagues who will work throughout Central Ohio. Your collective decision to have your officers train with us has fostered close friendships and established a collegial relationship between our respective organizations. We're also grateful for the men and women who labored over our entire application process and offered us jobs in Columbus, Ohio, in Grove City, in Newark, in Hilliard and Dublin, in New Albany and Westerville, and in Worthington. Thousands applied. You chose a select few, and we appreciate your choice of us. We will endeavor to honor your trust in us as we go forward. To the staff of the Columbus Police Academy, we express our thanks to you for your expertise and mentorship these last several months. We have what might be best described as a love-hate relationship with you. We love the fact that we've made it this far, and we love the fact that you have pushed us to become better prepared for the job that awaits us. Yet we have often hated the process. Even now, as we have the freedom to reflect on what we have become and what you have trained us to do, you have already jumped into the development of a new recruit class. You have an incredible responsibility, and each of you has contributed to the future success of law enforcement in Central Ohio. Your efforts have a direct impact on the quality of service we will provide in our communities. So before you get completely focused on this next group of recruits, this class, Class 130, wants you to know how much we appreciate all you have done for us. Now, Class 130 is comprised of a group of 57 graduating officers, 42 with Columbus, and 15 from other agencies, including one from Columbus Fire. Our class is made up of current and former military members, former police officers, former EMTs. We have former radio technicians with Columbus Police, a banker, a scientist, a chiropractor, and several collegiate athletes. We have parents and a grandparent. We've had 2 weddings and a baby born, and we even have several recent pregnancies. Our ages range from 21 years old to 55 years old. We have several who speak English as a second language, and we represent both sides of the political spectrum. I mentioned this love-hate relationship we have with our training staff. It's only been in these last few days that many of us are starting to let our emotional guard down around them. Perhaps because Class 131 is on site and they provide a wonderful distraction. You may have heard stories about our first day here at the Academy on Monday, June 18th. We were all gathered right here in this room in business attire, and we were warmly greeted and appreciated for our willingness to take on the challenges of becoming law enforcement officers in Central Ohio. That warm feeling lasted less than 30 minutes, and then boot camp began. And so did the yelling and the running and the push-ups and the sweating. We came into the academy on a week where the temperatures were in the mid-90s. By day 3, we had several recruits who quit due to the heat of the weather and due to the heat placed on us by the academy staff. The staff are very good at making us all feel unsettled. In Class 130, I'm the oldest member of our class at 55 years old. I'm also a Navy chaplain in the reserves, and at least 2 things were on my mind when I joined this academy. 1, could I physically survive this academy at my age? And 2, could I put up with a boot camp experience? You see, Navy chaplains don't have a boot camp experience like the rest of the military. I was one of 4 alternates who was able to join Class 130 because others had dropped out. And I found out the Friday before the academy started that I needed to be ready to start by Monday. I got a very informative phone call from a wonderfully nice woman at the academy. She told me to go downtown that day to police headquarters, fill out several forms that I would need before I could start on Monday. I followed her helpful instructions, but when I got downtown, I couldn't find the office I needed, even after asking folks who worked in the building. I called this friendly, helpful officer again, who helped me earlier. She was very patient with me. She understood how I might be frustrated trying to find my way around that building. All I knew is I finally got my papers, and I was grateful for such a helpful, wonderful, understanding person on the phone. I told myself, I think her last name was Shaw. By Tuesday morning of the academy, day 2, I had my first face-to-face meeting with Officer Tracy Shaw. As I passed her in the hallway, I gave her a less than enthusiastic greeting of the day. She suddenly turned on me, leaned forward with her arms extended like a collegiate wrestler ready to shoot a takedown, and she began to yell at me on how horrible my greeting was. Her loud rebuke echoed down the hallway as she continued to shout that she expected more, a lot more from me, especially from someone who's a chaplain. Well, I quickly, correctly, and enthusiastically greeted her again. Yes, ma'am. No excuse, ma'am. Ma'am, good morning, ma'am. And then 2 more thoughts went through my mind. First, I thought, why would a chaplain be better at greeting someone? And then I thought, this couldn't be the same helpful, nice woman I just spoke to on the phone Friday, was it? The academy staff kept the pressure on us all throughout this academy. But looking back on it now, I begin to understand what their collective goal has been. They are tasked with helping to prepare men and women to become the type of law enforcement officers our society and our cities and our citizens need today. It may seem that the goal of this academy and the punchline to all of our stories about the physical training we received here is that we are being shaped into officers who are tough and strong. And yes, that is part of the design, I believe. In order to serve our citizens as police, we do need to be tough. We need to be able to take on the physical challenges of this job. As you enter the lobby today, you may have seen our core values listed on the wall in the acrostic: pride, professionalism, respect, integrity, discipline, and enthusiasm. I believe our core values of professionalism and discipline best reflect what I'm calling this tough exterior. We demonstrate excellence and we exhibit proper conduct and self-control in the face of adversity. But the end product we're being shaped into is more than tempered external. And by tough outside, I don't mean emotionally calloused or without empathy. I mean it in the same way that soft, malleable clay, after it is shaped and fired in the kiln, becomes solid and firm. But what we also need to have as men and women in law enforcement is a pliable inner core. And if I'm correct, developing this inner core is the bigger challenge. Today, more than ever, we need men and women who can interact with society and negotiate the challenges of contemporary policing. I think our core values of respect, integrity, and enthusiasm give us perspective. We're to be men and women who respect human dignity and hold reverence for human life above all else. We're to adhere to honesty and ethical behavior and to serve with passion to make a difference in our community. If we can't produce officers balanced in both areas, we'll either have officers unprepared to handle the ugliness that does exist in society, or we'll have officers who are unable to nuance their approach to the diverse settings and the diverse audience they encounter. Without both capabilities present in each new officer, we will create greater barriers between the police and those we seek to serve. All this shaping and molding is a lot to put on our academy staff. But one member of our staff once said that our use of force continuum training, formerly known as Hitman, is some of the best training at the academy. For the most part, we recruits, we think of use of force continuum training as a test of our ground fighting abilities. All of our defensive tactics instructors, they dress up in these padded outfits that they wear, and they play the role of the suspect that we are supposed to arrest. Now, each one of these instructors are skilled combatants, so they must choose to limit their skills against us, or most of us wouldn't stand a chance. As I mentioned, most of us think of this test as a test of our physical abilities only. And I must admit, I've hated every scenario of the use of force continuum that I've done. But the more I've reflected on this exercise and on what's needed in law enforcement today, I believe use of force training is exceptional. We're not being tested on our physical abilities alone. We're also being tested on our ability to follow safe and correct police procedures during these scenarios. And we're being tested on our ability to use the appropriate level of force at the time of the arrest. And many of us who failed scenarios, like myself, failed by using the incorrect level of force or the incorrect procedures. This is what we're being shaped into. Men and women who have the fortitude and endurance to handle the physical challenges of police work, but can also adjust and react to the mental and emotional dynamics of their situation. Today, we close this chapter on our academy training for Class 130. But our formation, our continued shaping isn't finished yet. We are about to begin another 4 months of field training, and we will be mentored and shaped by a new group of instructors. To our family and friends who were so instrumental in supporting us these last 29 weeks to reach this point, we will need you again. We will need your love and encouragement during this next phase of our development, because we wouldn't have made it this far without you, and we won't succeed in the future without you again. So to you who selected us, thank you. To you who trained us, thank you. To you who supported us, thank you. And to you who celebrate with us today, thank you. And remember, if you ever talk to Officer Shaw on the phone, you'll not have a more pleasant conversation. But if you see her in the hall today, you better greet her better than a chaplain.
Well done, Officer Peters. Thank you. Chief Jacobs will now present the class awards. As she comes forward, I would like to share that on December 20th of 2018, the 130th recruit class sat for their state final exam in London, Ohio. We call it the CPOTA test. They achieved a class average of 92.15, which is the third highest in division history. Congratulations. The first award is the Scholastic Award. The officer maintained an academic grade point average of 97.4 for all 29 weeks, and that is presented to Officer Samuel Conley. The Physical Fitness Award is achieved with 7 months of very hard work, and it is based on stamina, flexibility, endurance, and power. The officer maintained a 96.6% of all of those categories, and that is Officer Ian Kovacs. The Defensive Tactics Award of Excellence and Coin are presented to the officer who maintains outstanding performance throughout all of the defensive tactics scenarios, some described by Officer Peters, throughout all 29 weeks. And that goes to Officer Daxton Cates. The last award is the Shooter's Award. The officer maintained a shooting average of 96.89, and that goes to Officer Andrew McBain. Now we will present the graduation certificates to the class. Photographs may be taken during the presentation of the certificates. Please hold your applause until all the certificates are handed out, but you may move about the auditorium to take pictures of your officer when they receive their certificate. Class, attention! Left face. Prepare for certificates. Officer Gregory Peters. Hilliard Officer Andrew Murray. Officer Phil Wilson. Officer Kyle Mathey. Officer Jacob Smith. Officer James Agans. Officer Miguel Alvarado. Officer Emily Biney. Officer Keegan Brentlinger. Officer Kyle Brust. Officer Brandon Caldwell. Officer Daxton Cates. Officer Samuel Conley. Officer Travis Copeland. Officer Nicholas Duty. Officer Sean Evans. Officer Lauren Foster. Officer Nick Gino. Officer Svetlana Gunkova. Officer Mitchell Hamilton. Officer Peter Hartman. Officer Michael Keegan. Officer Lewis Kearns. Officer Tamer Cadre. Officer Troy Lazes. Officer Troy Matheny. Officer Andrew McMain. Officer Brett McCarthy. Officer Christopher Meeks. Officer Lucas Metz. Officer Kofi Owusu Ansah. You go. Officer Elizabeth Phillips. Officer Caitlin Prang. Officer Grant Harrington Pritchard. Officer Adam Riedling. You go. Officer Stephen Scheschler. You go. Go. You're fine. Go. Officer Matthew South. Officer Derek Steffen. Officer Paul Michael Stewart. Officer Arthur Ross Whitworth. Officer Timotheus Williams. You go. Officer Andrew Joseph Willish. Officer Alton C. Woods. Columbus Fire Inspector Bomb Tech Herman D. Davis. You go. Dublin Police Officer David Aronovic. Dublin Police Officer Ian Connor Kovacs. Grove City Police Officer Jared M. Nelson. Grove City Police Officer Timothy James Pertz. Grove City Police Officer Jamie Allen Steele. Hilliard Police Officer Taylor Wesley Graves. Hilliard Police Officer Matthew Edward Hayes. Hilliard Police Officer Casey Allen McManaway. New Albany Police Officer Jacob William Steinbrook. Newark Police Officer Matthew Aaron Adams. Newark Police Officer Wesley James Jackson. Westerville Police Officer Joshua Rashad Searcy. Worthington Police Officer Isaac Christopher Altenberger. Keep going, you're fine. Ladies and gentlemen, the Columbus Police 130th Columbus Police Recruit Class. Several years ago, the Academy instituted a class guide on flags as a tradition of the Columbus Police Academy. We recently invited past classes to purchase their own flags, and as you can see, the response has been overwhelming. As part of the tradition, all graduating classes purchase the class guide on flag for some of the earliest recruit classes, those whose members are no longer with us. In this manner, the new honors the old. Direct your attention to center stage. There is a photograph of the 25th recruit class, which graduated on February 1st, 1957. There were 41 officers in the class. The 130th recruit class will now post colors for the 130th and the 25th recruit classes. Guidons, post! Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction by Columbus Police Chaplain, Father Leo Conley.
Before I give the benediction, I'd like to say that when a preacher gets up to speak and takes a drink of water like this, there are two possibilities. One is his mouth is dry, he's not going to talk for very long, or the other one is he's getting ready to talk for a long time. They didn't tell me there was a preacher in this class, a chaplain from the military. But I am also want to take this opportunity, if I may, to thank Chief Jacobs and the Department of Public Safety, as the Columbus Division of Police also has various chaplains from various denominations who have come together to offer their services to the Columbus Division of Police. And I hope maybe in the future our new chaplain may be able to join our ranks. So I drank because it's not going to be a very long prayer. Oh, and the other thing I'd like to settle is I noticed we also have a new officer by the name of Conley. We're going to have to figure out how to spell this name right here, because we spelled it a little bit different. Let us pray. We have heard words of promise, and we have heard words of hope. This day, for which we have heard these new officers of hope, has arrived. As they go forth, we continue to place our hope in them. And we pray that they place their hope in you and in all of those who have supported them and will continue to support them. We pray for their families in thanksgiving for the hope and support that they have given to these officers to make this day possible. We also pray for them as they each day indeed hope that their loved one will indeed be of great service and return home safely. We hope and pray for the best for all of these officers, and that all their aspirations and dreams will come true. We pray for their safety, their dedication. May they hope not only good things for themselves, and for their families and loved ones, but also those whom they serve, especially the hopeless among those whom they serve. We also pray that you give them continued confidence and strength when their hope fails. And indeed, we remember that there will be that day when they hope that the day of retirement will be coming as well, as that is part of the human condition. We also pray in thanksgiving for the ministry and dedication of Chief Jacobs, as she indeed begins a new chapter in her life. We hope for the best for her. We pray for her continued healing from her surgery, and we pray that she will indeed find even new ways to be of service to your people. And so we pray that Almighty God may bless all of us in each and every way. We ask this in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. Father Conley, no matter how you spell Conley, I'll caution you how you greet Officer Shaw in the hallway. Class, seats. Please remain seated until the officers have left the auditorium. Class, attention, hoot! Officer Page, take charge of the class one last time.
Left and right, face. Forward, march. You left, you left, you left, right. You left, you left, you left, right. You left, you left, you left, right. Training here has sure been great. Training here has sure been great. Now I got to graduate. Now I got to graduate. Training here has sure been fun. Training here has sure been fun. I'm so glad my training's done. I'm so glad my training's done. Am I right or wrong? You're right. Are you weak strong? We're strong. Down, down. 1, 2. Down, down. 3, 4. Bring them down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes today's ceremony.